Skilled and highly educated young people are crucial for any society, but many are now planning to leave the UK for sunnier and cheaper locations. So, is the UK on the cusp of a brain drain of its next generation of workers? Hello and welcome to Roundtable. I'm Enda Brady. Now, a cost of living crisis, a pandemic and stagnant wages. Young people in the UK have faced a range of issues and many say they've simply had enough. They're emigrating to tax-free countries like the United Arab Emirates. This puts more money in their pockets, but how would the UK economy cope without them?
More and more young Britons are sharing stories of why they are leaving the UK via social media.
Hey guys, so it's been over a month since I have left the UK.
3 reasons I left the UK in my 20s.
I could literally sit here and talk for hours about the reasons why I left the UK.
Most cite the cost of living crisis, high rents and bad English weather as their reasoning, opting instead for greener pastures in places such as Dubai, Thailand and Spain. According to a YouGov survey 2024, 30% of UK adults aged 18 to 24 want to move abroad, and 36% of Brits believe young people would be better off if they left. Amongst young Black and Asian Britons, the figures are even more striking, with 1 in 7 making definite plans to leave and 51% considering the idea. Racial inequality is one reason, dissatisfaction with the government is another, but the biggest factor by far is the fact that for many, the UK is just too expensive. Hence their desire to emigrate to tax-free Dubai, cheaper Thailand or mainland Europe for greater weather all year round. According to John Mason International Relocation Company, the number of young Brits inquiring to buy property in Dubai increased by 420% in the last 5 years. Associate Sales Director Sophie Elliott has already made the move to Dubai.
Let me tell you why I chose to move to Dubai from the UK and made it mine and my daughter's home. Unlike in the UK, it's one of the safest cities in the world. It's one of the cleanest cities in the world. It's given me an amazing lifestyle. It's tax-free, and also my income here, I couldn't even compare it to what I would be getting in the UK.
This year, Thailand joined a growing list of countries offering young digital nomads remote work visas. British entrepreneur Jones made the move to Thailand 20 months ago and uses his TikTok platform to tell other young people how they can do the same.
One thing I can say is that it's been the best decision of my life. So grateful that I made that jump from London to Thailand. Now, one of the reasons is because of the weather. There's definitely a sense of freedom here. You can enjoy your life much more.
The number of people migrating to the UK does heavily outweigh immigration out of it. But the number of people leaving has been steadily rising since 2016, when the UK decided to leave the EU. Given the UK's slow economic growth, the exodus of young workers is not ideal. The work of the youth contributes $7.3 billion to the wider economy through jobs and volunteering. With a new Labour Party in power, can they encourage young Brits to stay, or will it be a little too late?
Well, let's meet our guests. Dr. Khaled Sadek is a general practitioner at the Arista Medical Clinic in London. Also in London, we have Shola Mos-Shogbamimu. She's a lawyer and a political and women's rights activist. Mouad Agouzoul is a partner at a digital strategy firm, and he joins us from Paris. So you're all very welcome to Roundtable. Dr. Khaled, I'll come to you first. What are you seeing in the medical world in terms of Black and Asian colleagues leaving or saying they have plans to leave the National Health Service?
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, look, the National Health Service remains the UK's biggest employer. And so in terms of demographics, it employs a lot of ethnic and Black and minority individuals, especially doing the heavy lifting, the everyday laborious activity that is involved in delivering the healthcare. But what we're not seeing is that sort of transcribing into the sort of the managerial roles. And so what we would like to see is a bit more equality when it comes to kind of having representation at more senior levels within the workforce.
And how much of a problem is that then? Because if young people are coming in and they're not seeing representation at higher levels of management, or they're not seeing progression for Black and Asian colleagues, that leads them to think that perhaps they should move somewhere else where they will be valued.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. In any work environment where you don't feel valued because of sort of intrinsic characteristics that you cannot change, that are technically protected by law, then your workforce will become demoralized. They will want to seek out better opportunities elsewhere. I mean, we mustn't forget, it wasn't too long ago that we had COVID, and what we were seeing was a lot of BAME medical staff who are actually losing their lives disproportionately to any other group within the workforce. And I believe the government did look into that. And so when we are seeing that, we're putting a lot of effort in, they're doing a lot of the heavy lifting, but we're not getting the appreciation, then that disillusionment is going to result in people just leaving.
Shola, that's an interesting phrase that Dr. Khaled has just used there about Black and Asian colleagues. They do the heavy lifting in the health service, and yet many of them want to leave.
And that's totally understandable. This has been, the Black and brown ethnic minorities in the National Health Service have been the bread and butter. They have been the foundation of the National Health Service for the longest time. So yes, the laborious, the work they do and the heavy lifting they do has never really been recognized. Anyone in their right mind can see how now in 2024, they've pretty much had enough. It's not just about COVID, it's beyond that. It's a combination of all of that, the economic impact, the lack of gratitude, the fact that they have to beg for every inch, and the lack of progression, and the systemic issues that impact Black and brown people. So whether that is employment, that is health issues, health disparities, that's economic disparities, all of those things bring people to a head where they go, look, I have to make a different choice for myself. And I think that's where that's coming from.
Mouad, you're originally from Morocco. As I understand it, your government puts packages in place to bring Moroccan talent home. Is that correct?
Yes, totally correct. The government had understood one main thing. It's that the tables are turning. We are talking about multilateral cooperation, in truth, because Western countries are not only the only beacons in the world. Now we have the South cooperation that is growing more and more, and the countries are developing fast, and they are also facing leapfrogs. So they have to go directly to the top. I'm speaking about the digital field because I'm working in it, and I can truly see it.
And Mouad, tell me.
So yes, they do some stuff. There's still a lot to do, but things are being done by the government.
And Mouad, tell me, it obviously benefits Morocco if talent is coming home, if people have had enough of cities like London and Birmingham and they want to take their talent and their expertise and bring it home to countries like Morocco.
Yes, there is two main things. There is not only talents from abroad, there is also talents grew up in Morocco. So this is the first thing. The second thing we are talking about is to attract people from London, from Paris, from Berlin, from everywhere, because we understood that the diaspora, the people who went abroad, learned a lot, used the foreign universities, are very valuable because they can go back to the country with a lot of skills that are not truly really available in the country. So that's the main idea. Uh, things are being done, but packages are not at the same level in the Western countries. But they are doing the best to reach the same level.
Dr. Khaled, I'll come back to you. A lot of young people spend years and years studying, learning medicine, trying to get into your profession. And when I speak to them, they tell me they want to go to Australia, Canada, New Zealand. They don't want to remain in the UK anymore. How damaging is this for a health service that's trying to rebuild after years of failure under successive Conservative governments?
Well, it's absolutely catastrophic. If we are ploughing in hundreds of thousands of pounds to educate each one of those students who, with the hope that they will come and work for the NHS and provide service for the health of the population, and then they just sort of upstick and shoot off to another foreign country because they're going to get a much more attractive package, then it's completely catastrophic. Because what you're going to end up doing, you're going to have the brain drain of your homegrown talent. You're then going to have to scramble to plug the gap using immigrant workers, and they would have to be trained and brought up to a spec. That produces a lot of disgruntlement within the service user population as well. So it's a double whammy. One, you're losing money from taxpayers' money. Secondly, you don't have the workforce. You know, every year we're saying we need more doctors, we need more doctors. But if we're training them only for them to go to work in Australia and America, then we're not really plugging the problem here. And I think that's why we recently saw all those doctor strikes, junior doctor strikes, wanting their pay in line with inflation for the last 10 years. They're not getting the treatment that they want to get.
Shola, I want to take a look at some statistics about why Black and Asian Britons are wanting to leave this country. 19% in this group say racial inequality is their reason for leaving. 28% say it's because they are dissatisfied with the government. Remember, obviously, we've just had a government in here in the UK, a new government for 3 weeks, so I'm guessing they're dissatisfied with the last government. 39% say the UK is just too expensive. When you speak to people in the Black community, young people in particular, educated people who would normally want to have a future in the country they were born in and grew up in, what are they giving as their main reasons for wanting to leave the UK?
Well, I would say that the main reasons around this is not just what they say, they share, they talk about when given the opportunity to by the media. It's what we can all observe, okay? The reality is this, that many of them are not going to see a significant change from the last 14 years under the Tory party with Keir Starmer's Labour Party. So as an example, I find that Keir Starmer, very similar to Rishi Sunak, is neither inspirational nor aspirational, okay? So he's not someone you can look up to and go, oh, wow, I want to be someone like him. I'm not talking about the position of prime minister. I'm just saying that looking at his record as a pledge-breaking, lying, a politician and leader of the Labour Party, you cannot actually trust anything he says. He broke every pledge he gave in order to become the leader of the Labour Party. And you know that if he failed to keep his own pledge before he became prime minister, there is absolutely no way he's going to keep any kind of promise or position now that he's in power. So I think that Black and brown communities are not blind to this. They everything you see coming out of the Labour Party today is pretty much similar to the Tory party, whether it's on the economy, whether it's on Brexit. You have nothing concrete from Keir Starmer to say these are the significant changes I am going to make in order to address making sure you've got more money in your pocket, in order to address the racial injustice and disparities in this country. In fact, I personally know for a fact that with Keir Starmer, his reputation of how he handled racism in the Labour Party is the blueprint of what he's going to do as prime minister. So in the Labour Party, according to the Ford report, it is clear that racism and Islamophobia, these two expressions of hate, are not given any priority or addressed at all in the Labour Party. So, and that the only expression of hate he prioritizes is anti-Semitism. So I have every confidence, should I say, that when it comes to issues around that impact Black and brown people, Keir Starmer is not going to be across the board at all, because it is not in his best interest. Keir Starmer is a political opportunist, and I think that many people, Black and brown people who want to then go find other opportunities outside the UK, can see this. And it is also clear that the majority, the super majority given the Labour Party, is not a vote of confidence in Keir Starmer. It was a vote to kick out the Tory party, because people decided the only way we can do this, oh my goodness, because of the, first past the post, we have no other choice, which is utter nonsense, as you know. As far as I'm concerned, we've got choice. But they decided to place all their eggs in one basket, choosing between blue and red. And in order to get rid of blue, they gave most of it to red. Now, I would think that any serious politician who truly wants to drive change would say, I recognize that the votes I've been given is not a vote of confidence in me. It was a vote of confidence to get rid of 14 years of the absolute devastation that the Tory party caused. What can I do to establish trust? What can I do to ensure that people across the marginalized communities especially can trust me? Because Keir Starmer has given us no reason to see him as trustworthy, to see him as being able to keep to his word. He has given not on foreign affairs, not on Brexit. I mean, one of the reasons that Black and brown, especially the younger generation, are giving for leaving is because of the lack of opportunities that came about because of Brexit.
But
Now,
Shola,
if
let's
Keir
give him a
Starmer is not
chance.
going to
Shola,
reverse
he's only been
Brexit,
in power
how
3
is he going
weeks.
to address the lack of opportunities that have come about because of it?
He's only been in power 3 weeks, Shola. We'll give him a chance. We'll give him a chance, okay?
No, I've given him a chance. I have given him a chance, and I'm still giving him a chance. But you know what? You can read the writing on the wall. There's a reason why I wear glasses, okay?
We'll revisit this. We'll revisit this, Shola, I promise. Mouad, you're in France. Tell me, do the French suffer from the same problems in terms of minority communities not feeling they can thrive or prosper or get up the ladder in a country like France? Do they want to leave France as well?
Yes, it's absolutely true. I think we have the same scheme, the same guidelines, as I can say, because as a representative of a minority, I'm Moroccan, French Moroccan Muslim. Sometimes I would say I don't feel safe anymore in my country because we feel threatened by the very heavy words told by politicians. You saw a few weeks ago we had a very strong far right rates in the last vote. So the motivation for brain drain is not only economic, but and I know a lot of people like me, highly graduated, top managers in firms, international firms. They say, I don't feel safe anymore because I can't be just me as a black, as an Asian, as a Muslim, as a Jew, as anything else. Because we have this whole movement in Europe with the far right, so that's a main concern for the people who are moving to their original countries, and I would say particularly in Morocco, because in Morocco we have the chance to have a country with all minorities living together. It's a spot, a sweet spot for everybody, and it's a hub for Africa. And strategically, we are between Europe, between Africa, between Black Africa, between Western, between Eastern countries. So and we have also the sun. So it's ideal because people can feel safer in those places, like Morocco. But I can say also the same for some Nigerian fellows. There is a lot of Nigerians who are coming back to the original country. So To be honest, there is the economic side, but also the citizen side, as people from minorities who don't feel safe anymore or confident anymore in their future in the countries like France or England or Germany, for
Dr.
example.
Khaled, which countries are benefiting then if young black doctors and nurses and Asian medical professionals are wanting to leave the UK? Tell me where they're mostly going and why they want to go there instead.
Yeah, I think anyone who's becoming disillusioned with the opportunities that they have in the UK is going to start looking overseas. And in the downward economy, you're going to start to see that inward-looking impact of inequality being amplified. And so individuals will be looking for places that are going to be welcoming them. And for ethnic minorities, they're going to places like Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Bahrain, all the Middle East. A lot of people going to Australia, people taking medical exams, even at the medical school stage to go to work in America, to sit their USMLE so that they can become residents in the United States rather than taking up specialist training here in the UK. So the situation is not good, but it's not irreversible. There's every opportunity for us to try and prevent this brain drain if we just kind of focus a bit more of the energies on making the level a bit more equal, and kind of work together and look more sort of outwardly rather than kind of become more insular and less sort of fair in society.
Shola, I'm going to say something you're not going to like. There will be a lot of white British people watching this who will say, if they don't like it, just go. But where does that leave Britain if a lot of talented, educated, young black and Asian people leave the UK? Is that attitude part of the problem, do you think?
That attitude is most definitely part of the problem. That attitude feeds the problem. That attitude is the root of the problem. And it's so important for those white British people that think that way, because thank you, Jesus, it's not all white British people that think that way, but those white British people that think that way, to remember that when they go knocking on the NHS door, to remember that when they start complaining about long waiting lists, to remember that when they start complaining about the quality of services that they receive, whether that is at all levels of civil service, or in some of the really critical essential services that we need, like teaching and so many examples, not just the health services. So yeah, I would say to those white people, you know what? You are part of the problem. The solution, and this was mentioned earlier, is trying to address how we can be more strategic and inclusive. What are the key issues? Now, are we going to get rid of racial injustice overnight? No, we know that's going to take time. Are we going to get rid of the different disparities that make people feel unsafe overnight? I think that will take some time. But we need to start to build those blocks. I would personally, as Black British, I'm not going to give a flying flamingo what those white British people you mentioned think, because to me they are not relevant. This is my country, and and the reason why I make as much noise as I make is because I want it to be better, not just for me, but for generations to come. Okay, and that means that if I need to complain, I will complain. If I need to provide solutions, I'll provide solutions. If I need to fight, I will fight for what I believe in. And I expect to have opposition, because opposition is what those who want to keep the status quo bring to the table. And it's so important for all of us to recognize how people being driven out of their country to look for opportunities elsewhere actually impacts our quality of life, the quality of our livelihoods. And if you think about it from the health service perspective, think about the fact that now you're going to have to go outside and say to people, can you please come work for us? And then you have to train them, and you have to, pay them what you should pay them. All of these things intersect, all of these issues intersect. I just don't think that Keir Starmer's Labour Party is going to provide the answer that we need.
Mouad, I felt sad hearing what you just said about not feeling welcome in your own country, but do you think maybe things might improve?
Yes, absolutely, for sure. And we have to improve the things. The reality we are facing is that the far right is the main political force in France and mainly in Europe.
Final question to you, Khaled. Just briefly, what would you say to any young black or Asian doctor or nurse out there thinking about leaving the UK this year?
Well, look, I'd say don't be disheartened. The UK is still a very accepting country. We've had some tough years. Things are going to get better, and it's not going to be easy, but we've got to continue working hard and not give up.
Khaled, Shola and Mouad, that's all we have time for. Thank you all so much. Remember, you can see more discussion and debate on our YouTube channel. Search for Roundtable TRT World, and if you like what you see there, please do hit that subscribe button. But for now, from me and Brady and all of the team here, goodbye and thank you for watching.